Hi everybody, I'm Pyrrho. This is the Pyrrho Show. You can tell it's a show because look, I got a green screen and I can put stuff up there. If I wanted, I could even play this video, but I'm not gonna. You could hear it if I played it.
Wait.
I can't hear it because for me to hear it, I have to put on a headphone set. But you can hear me, and I'm pretty sure that you can. So I just make these quick videos about super interesting stuff. It's a show. Anyway, so there's a link to this bonus video over here, where Mike from PA, I think that's it, shit, I forgot to check, who I think is a caller into the Majority Report, is arguing with Destiny over whether AOC is economically illiterate, which they have had some other examples or discussions about this topic. And Destiny, I don't think is doing too good. I like Destiny, he does this common sense stuff, but he tries to research it. He tries to do this battle drone, but the battle drone involves, as you can see in this, I'm only 15 minutes into this video, by the way, so I haven't seen the whole thing, but I thought it was interesting to begin with. And I figured it'd be nice to at least in my show to have a little bonus of something I've been watching, because that's kind of what this is I want to share a little bit of what I am seeing, where sort of repurpose the whole, I watch these kinds of videos on YouTube stuff, including maybe some of the science ones or various things, because at all times I have certain things that I'm kind of researching or passive researching where I'm working and listening to things, just letting it sink in, and sometimes I'm watching the thing in focus, and then I have the regular subs. But anyway, I go into too much details. Totally bonus thing here. Like this first 60 minutes is basically about whether stock buybacks, AOC said stock buybacks are a bad thing just to raise your stock price, and over some period of time, 10 years or whatever, the pharmaceutical companies spent 400 and something billion on research, but 500 billion and something on buybacks, and boom, they're arguing about that, which you could always lower the price of this drug as far as I'm concerned before you spend that money on it. Anyway, what this is really about is, I want to, because I like discussing things with a variety of opinions, and I've always had an instinct of, making a political alliance with people of differing views. That's what makes it stronger. If just one, demographic in a town wants something, that's not good enough. The way you're going to get a new park in your town is when the conservatives want it, and the hunters want it, and the bird watchers want it, and the railroad guy wants it, and the police think it's a good idea. You get everybody on board. The problem is two things. One, when people make an enemy of you, you can't get along. I mean, how much have I, right here, even people like Quintica, I've been like, dude, we've been talking for 10 years. You don't need to just freak out constantly. Doesn't want to have a conversation. People get to the point where they feel like enemies. They don't want a middle ground. Me, I believe, diplomacy is about talking to your enemies, so you always do it. But in your personal life, well, you don't. You go and just get your own space. So that's a difficult thing for those of us that reach out into public conversation, is that, I have my own, I'm not tending to invite people I discuss things with from a discussion group into my personal life, the weddings I go to, and my family birthday parties, and Christmas morning, and no, it's into a part of the, it's also part of my life, of the public discussion. And I feel you can work out common ideas, and you kind of have to. But if the other side's going to make these enemies and just want to drink your tears and also from my side, I mean, if I can't even see where's the compromise between you want to torture more people, you guys want to shoot immigrants trying to come into your country, you guys don't think women should be able to get abortions. Well, some of those we can maybe spread out, okay, murder laws are by state. I disagree with that, but okay. But you're going to spend my tax money torturing people, shooting them, whatever. is going to be illegal. Again, the shooting, the stand your ground law in a lot of these states is pretty stupid right now. But, basically making it so that the most aggressive person can shoot the other person as long as they felt threatened. I mean, that's pretty stupid, but I don't have to live in those states. And democracy is taking its part in judging them. But spending my tax money to torture or go to war in other countries and all the stuff we spend $1 trillion a year doing right now, there's no compromise in that. So the bottom line is you just have to outvote the other side now. Now, I've never been for that because I feel people are always so stupid about, like, the other side gets outvoted. And they are always like, oh my God, Republican presidents forever now. Oh my God, Obama won, Democrat presidents forever. We'll just always run on that same thing that just had victory. We just won the Super Bowl. Do you see how great our team is? Obviously, we're going to win every Super Bowl from now on. And it's just the fun thing. You're not supposed to shoot it down. Or something. Because that's good team spirit. Of course, you're going to win from now on. No, we have to work together. So, I don't like to really think that way. I prefer to build the common ideas, and then that wins, and we go forward on the plan that we've all sort of said, well, okay, we overlap here enough. Things you disagree with me on, that's just my own personal hobby. Okay, you don't want to use public funds to make roller skate parks for the youth. Fine. I don't want to spend another $100 billion on our 800 international military bases. We'll just have to wait on those, but we'll do this other thing. But since that's not working, you just have to outvote them. Now, that's the thing. That's the reason it's important not to have somebody like Joe Biden running the election, because trying to convince some of anybody that would vote for Trump to vote for you is a fool's game. It's not that it can't happen. I mean, we allegedly have people that voted for liberals like Kucinich that now support Trump. Blah, 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 blah. To me, whatever, by the way, I think Trump is the conspiracy theory thing. So, yeah, there's Bernie voters that ended up voting for Trump. There's Bernie voters that now wouldn't consider voting for Bernie because he helped Hillary, which is hysterical because the Hillary voters still hate Bernie, saying he didn't help him, as if he ran third party. But whatever, all of that noise, right? The real thing is, when you poll, evidence shows most people that are politically the politically disinterested people, the people that might just not vote, or people that want to vote but oops, they forgot. That was today, kind of. It's not the top priority of following every day. More of those vote liberal. Basically, what I'm saying is, get out to vote. Hillary even. She's not that liberal. She's totally conservative Dem. DLC Dem. Third way Dem. And, there are more people in the United States that voted for her. Now, that's not doesn't make her president. And I'm not alluding to the ways in which the Republicans cheat and gerrymander and stuff here. What I'm saying is, if you're not going to find compromises to move forward, then it's just a matter of outvoting the other side, which requires get out the vote. Now, if you have an exciting candidate, or at least a little bit exciting, at least as much exciting and inspiring of support as Obama even, then there's more people that will vote for that than want to go back to the 50s. So, and at that point, the problem is going to be the Democratic Party isn't much of a vehicle for that, because they are this party of the compromise of conservatism and a traditionalism, and when there's an entrenched business interest, well, that must be because the market decided that's we support them. Well, they somehow own the banks. We support there's this, people call it the status quo, but it's basically this traditionalism, and so that's not gonna work. What's gonna have to happen is you need to have actual progress. When a non-conservative gets in office, they're going to actually have to implement, like FDR, they're going to have to re-implement actually some of the things literally that were from FDR. And, the Democratic Party, not ready to do that. Well, there's obviously a big shakeup coming in both parties. I've always said, I'm pretty sure I've said on this channel, but I've always said that there would be, I've said that I always thought, I just had a feeling one of the parties would go away and get replaced in my lifetime. I sort of had that feeling about some of these things. I used to, in high school, tell people about the Electoral College. Hey, did you know it's possible for a minority of people to elect the president? And my civics teachers are like, yeah, but that's like basically statistically impossible, except for not with gerrymandering. So these kinds of things, and when I was young, I thought the idea of countries breaking up, like there's an old story of Ecotopia, I think it's called, of California breaking up, and then there was all the Soviet Union stuff breaking up. So all that stuff that seemed impossible, like political science fiction, political fan fiction kind of stuff, has happened. And now the one about the parties, and I always thought, well, I don't know which it would be, because the kind of disturbances that cause the destruction of a party, it's not obvious, right? When you see all the heat and division on one side, that doesn't mean that's the party that's going to break up. That might be the one that holds over, and the blast might break the other one, or individuals come along and change things, or there's migrations you couldn't foresee, like when there's a lot of heat and one party might react and do something, and if it made a good bet, at least that's electorally advantageous bet, then it might change, causing the other one that didn't have the disturbance to wither, and so on. Almost anything can happen. And I would say that right now. I mean, there's, in the one hand, you could say the Republican Party has been destroyed, but the name has been maintained, and now it's got a new kind of coalition running it. But that coalition is so far right by even American standards of the last 100 years that, there's nobody knows how that's going to stand without a charismatic leader like Trump. Nobody knows. How they can step stone into the future with that. Those policies have to be stealth and crypto still. So the coming out of the closet of them, the most people don't know that Trump is the coming of Molyneux, going from, we just want a free market, to, hey, Poland's all white. That's pretty good. Let's do that. That's not, there's no proof that can live in the mainstream. Quite the opposite. Look what Charlottesville did to the whole, it split the alt-right, so that some of them, like Sargon, like to say they're not alt-right, but they still are. But it made a division in the alt-right, and they've had to deal with that, right? So so it's not clear that the change in the Republicans is the renewing kind, where now they have a succeeding formula, or if it's the presage of the collapse. When stars collapse, and then they get hot and they blow up again, and then they collapse, and eventually they'll blow up a lot of the time really explosively from that collapse. And they could just disappear, or they could be any strength of supernova or whatever. So what's going on here, we don't really know. Now, if they stay this alt-right party of the Trump conspiracy world, what kind of reaction could the Democrats have? The whole Hillary reaction, let's run Biden reaction, is, I think, spells death for them, and they would lose to Trump and the alt-right party with that kind of methodology in the short term. But then, okay, what would the result of that be? What would another 4 years of Trump would definitely cause the collapse of the Democratic Party, I think. Not in name, probably, but I mean, I think another 4 years of Trump, and there's just a continual more waves of the AOC type Democrats. Because what we're really looking at, too, is that the Democratic Party has been led now for its generational period, the 25 years, by baby boomers. They did not mentor Generation X very well, so the Generation X that's in power now, I think there's a lot out of office that could go in, are kind of picked by the baby boomer leadership like Pelosi and Biden to be weaklings, to not challenge their power, right? No young star 35-year-old's going to get elected party leader in this party because, one thing about baby boomers, they don't think that the youth has anything to say except for when they were young. So it's been really badly led. That's the bottom line by the Democrats, the baby boomer Democrats that are leading the Democratic Party the last 25 years. Third way thought you just need to be more conservative. No need to be so liberal about economic issues and stuff. But we should be very, very liberal on racial issues allegedly. But even as far as I'm concerned, that's somewhat questionable. But very limited. And also separating themselves from the previous generation, which everybody thinks, those were so conservative people back then. Well, not the Democratic Party. It was FDR Democrats for 30, 40 years, because that was super popular. So at least at the time, and it will be again, I think. So another 4 years of Trump, and basically the baby boomers and Gen Xers will probably get purged from the party, and we'll have a bunch of 35 and 40-year-old party leaders. And obviously, Bernie Sanders social program kind of party, where the crazy people are, they're crazy because they're trying to find polite ways to talk to each other. I think they're going to do better than people that are trying to bring back some sort of, these things that we have in this movement that's all with the Pizzagate and 4chan behind that, all of that part of the noise. And the bot noise and the anti-vaxxers and just all of this stuff that's the potential of if another 4 years, this is getting enabled, these people, you're going to have a lot more scary things from that movement than you're going to get from AOC. They're going to fearmonger about someone like AOC, but, come on. I don't think it goes very far if you have, real craziness on this other side. And this facts don't matter-ness. Because, facts matter. It just takes time sometimes for them. When people want to ignore them, you can get away ignoring them a long time, depending on how many people want to ignore them. You can even have the crisis that comes from ignoring them, and people could still ignore them because it's like they have a religious belief or whatever. Well, where are we in history right now? I don't think we're, once you got Stephen Molyneux, he gets to where, like Stephen Miller. Once you have a lot more of those guys where they're just in the open saying race realism, when Molyneux's on, he's making his steps, he's going through the Rubin, let's change the Overton window into fascism would be okay. Well, once that's in the Overton window, not for everybody. Not everybody's going to be accepting it. Just because you can manipulate the mainstream to allow messages like that, the reaction you're going to get from, what is currently an actual majority in the world, in Western nations at least, shit's going to break loose. And I'm not saying that means that then that party wins. I'm saying it means there's an instability, right? The adaptations, to me, at this point, there's so much chaotic movement in our political politics compared to the rest of my life, compared to before 10 years ago, before Bush, even. So before 20 years ago, I don't know. I find it very hard to predict on that level. Who knows what will happen with the parties or any one election? On the other hand, I'm confident that we'll continue to have progress on the sort of the 50 and 70 year timescales. It's just that since we've had this regress in my lifetime, or at least the 30 years of it, let's say, because we had some progress with, in South America not being, Nazi assholes down there for a while, basically, because Clinton kind of tidied that all up. Because Carter didn't. But anyway, so that's just kind of a blip. Mostly the same people that made those improvements to stability, because that's the thing about Democrats. They might want to rip everybody off and have the capitalist machine and make money off the war machine, but not so much as to have instability that hurts business. So, but anyway, it's been this decline. So, it'd be nice if the next 50 was a rise. But if it waited another 50, who knows? I'll be dead. Whatever. I never thought all the problems of the world would be solved in my lifetime. I never thought they would, actually. In fact, a lot of things are way better than I ever thought they would be already. And the coming of chaos is like, well, at least it's interesting times, silver lining.